Today we're going to talk about comparing and ordering fractions. Sometimes we just have two fractions to compare or order from least to greatest. So there are two ways we can work with fractions when it's only fractions we're doing. One is called cross products. 5 times 3 is 15. I always put it above the opposite numerator. 4 times 4 is 16. So right now this tells me that 4/5 is greater than 3/4. Another way to do this is to find common denominators. So I know that a common denominator between 4 and 5 is 20. So if 5 times 4 is 20, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 4 times 4 is 16. If 4 times 5 is 20, 3 times 5 is 15. This also shows me that 4/5 or 16/20 is greater than 3/4 or 15/20. So when you're comparing and ordering fractions, you can use cross products, which is this, or common denominators here. All right, now we're going to talk about comparing and ordering decimals. The very first thing you do is you look at your whole number. We don't have any here. So you have to go to your decimal and the tenths place. I have a 5, a 7, and a 7. So right away, I know that this is my smallest number because 5 is smaller than 7. Next, because these are tied, the 7s, I have to go to my hundredths place. Well, wait a second. Again, they're tied. That means I have to go to the thousands place. Well, there isn't a thousandths here, so I can make that a 0. And then I have a 2. So what I know is my 7s are tied, my 5s are tied, but I know that 0 is less than 2. So I know that 75 hundredths is greater than 51 hundredths, but smaller than 752 thousandths. So the best way to compare and order decimals is to just make sure your whole number, use your whole numbers first and then your tenths second. All right. But sometimes they give us fractions and decimals. So I have to decide if I want to convert them all to fractions or convert them all to decimals. Now, I'm going to use decimals because I think that they're easier. And I also know enough that 2/3 is an irregular or a repeating decimal. So I don't want to get myself into a funky fraction situation. So I divide 2 divided by 3. If you forget how to do this, there's a video from yesterday. And my decimal comes straight up. 3 goes in, cannot go into 2, and 3 goes into 20 6 times. Here comes my 2. I bring down another 0, and this is going to keep happening. That's what I mean with a repeating decimal. So now I have 1 6/10 and 1 66 hundredths. So I look into my tenths place. Well, my whole numbers are the same. My tenths place are the same. My hundredths place, this has a 6. This has nothing. So I know that 1 66 hundredths is greater than 1 6/10, or that 1 6/10 is less than 1 2/3. So you have to decide when you are comparing and ordering fractions, are you going to use them all as fractions, or are you going to use them all as decimals and convert them all into one specific way? All right, so here is a little bit harder. 25 hundredths, 1/2, 6/10, and 5/8. I know that 1/2 is the same as 0.5, so I'm going to put that right there. So I'm going to do it all as decimals because it really only means that I have to change this one. All right, so the bottom goes into the top. 5 divided by 8. I give myself my decimal and my zeros. 8 can't go into 5, it goes into 50 6 times, 48, with 2 left over, and I bring down my 0. 8 goes into 20 twice, with 4, and I bring down another 0, and that is 0.625. All right. Now, when I go to look at my tens place, I've got 2, 5, 6, and 6. So I know 0.25 is least. Next, I notice that my 0.5, my half, is going to be less than 6/10 or 625 thousandths. So I bring that down. Oh, I mean, I've got to put it in my original form. I could even put like a check mark. I got that one. I did this one. So next I have my tied sixes. I have nothing in the tenths or in the hundredths place here, so that means it's 0. And I have a 2 here. So that tells me my 6/10, because there's nothing in the hundredths place, is going to be smaller than my 5/8 or my 625 thousandths because there's a 2 there. So all you have to remember is convert them all into all into decimals or all into fractions and go from there.